In tonight's headlines, the Housing Authority will offer more than 7,000 subsidized flats under its home ownership scheme this year and is confident that a 30% discount is attractive enough. The city's external trade rise for the 5th consecutive month in July. And Foreign Minister Wang Yi hopes for substantive and constructive talks with top White House official Jake Sullivan as the two meet in Beijing.
The Housing Authority plans to sell more than 7,000 of its subsidized flats with a 30% discount off market price in the latest round of offers under its home ownership scheme. The flats, which sizes between 186 to 510 square feet and covering 5 development sites in Kowloon, the New Territories, and Lantau Island, would open for application with prices ranging from $1.43 million to $4.67 million. The Twin Moon site would offer the largest portion of the sales with over 2,700 flats, followed by runner-up Kai Tak site with over 1,700 flats. Ranked third quantity-wise, the Tongchong site would supply more than 1,300 flats as big as 510 square feet, the largest flats in the latest offer. Meanwhile, the Kunton and Yaoton sites would yield 420 and 864 flats respectively.
大家都知道啦，樓市近年係下行咗嘅。
Facing concerns that the discount was not as high as last year, which was 38% off market prices, Chairman of Subsidized Housing Committee Clarissa Wong said the price was affected by multiple factors, including the property market downturn and the increase of residents' income. But she believed the price is still attractive to residents in need. The application this year will start in the 4th quarter, while the flat selection process will be in the 2nd quarter of next year. As for applicant eligibility, the subsidized flat sale would open up to green form applicants, public housing tenants, as well as white form applicants living in private housing without subsidies, whose families earn less than $60,000 with assets under $1.23 million. The requirement would be halved for single applicants. Additionally, the authority has also reserved 2,900 flats, which is 40% of the whole supply, for families with newborn babies or elderlies, and 700 flats for single applicants. Jeremy Zhu, Cable News.
Both the imports and exports in the city rose for a 5th month and at a quicker pace in July. Official figures released today showed exports rose to $390.4 billion in July, up 13.1% from a year ago. Meanwhile, the value of imports rose 9.9% year-on-year to $412.3 billion, which left the city with a trade deficit of $21.8 billion. Exports to the mainland registered a faster growth than June by 23% on a yearly basis, while the pace of export growth to the United States slowed down to less than 20% during the same period. It still achieved a 19.7% growth. On the other hand, a decrease was recorded in the value of total exports to the United Kingdom, down by 31%. Combining the figures for the first 7 months of the year, exports jumped 12.4% year-on-year, while imports rose 8%. A government spokesperson said the city's exports should remain positive as long as external demand holds up, adding that there are still risks associated with geopolitical tensions and trade conflicts. Authorities in the banking sector of the city have vowed to step up financial support for the construction industry to withstand the cash flow drain it faces amid current transition to a full economic recovery. At a meeting the Development Bureau hosted to line up lenders and construction companies yesterday, representatives from the industry expressed concerns that the lack of funding makes it difficult for them to sustain. Lawrence Ng, president of the Hong Kong Construction Subcontractors Association, further elaborated at a radio program this morning that the industry is concerned about future contracts as developers are slowing down their investments, leading to a decrease in construction projects, which also affects job opportunities. In response, the Development Bureau indicated that it will expedite the approval of public construction projects in the future and increase the frequency of payments to the contractors to help subcontractors improve their cash flow. Meanwhile, the lenders reaffirmed that they would provide the industry with more flexibility in financing and lending and continue to support the city's infrastructure construction. Participants unanimously agreed that the construction industry is a vital driving force for economic growth and social development, and everyone should adopt a collaborative and a pragmatic attitude to help it get through tough times. The Development Bureau also stressed that the government remains committed to investing in infrastructure, with the basic construction expenditure expected to reach $90 billion in this fiscal year, and maintained at this level for the coming half-decade. Quentin Yang, Cable News.
Hong Kongers are urged by the Electrical and Mechanical Services Department not to buy two non-approved portable cassette cooker models. The EMSD has recently found that two Iwatani portable cassette cookers models, CBTS-PLS and CBWA35F, are being sold or displayed at a local online shop. These two models have not obtained written approval from the Director of Electrical and Mechanical Services. The authority is investigating the case and may institute prosecution if there is evidence to show that the importer or the supplier has breached the gas safety ordinance. Residents who have bought the cookers are advised to stop using them to avoid gas safety risks.
Despite long-standing demands for pay equity, a significant gender pay gap of more than $3,000 per month still remained in the SAR's workforce, with the disparity even widened at higher education and job levels. Latest figures from the Census and Statistics Department show that in 2023, the median monthly income for women is $19,200, $3,600 less than that of men. This gap balloons to almost $4,000 for those with post-secondary education and $7,000 for bachelor's degree holders. Unequal pay between genders was seen across industries. Women earn hundreds to thousands less per month than men in the same roles. The gap was biggest among professionals, where women make $6,200 less per month, almost $75,000 less per year. According to lawmaker Dorian Kong, many employers in the city see women less capable as men if they have kids. Even if the female employees have the same level of education background and working experience as men, they would still get paid less. I personally feel very dissatisfied about the $3,000 gap, Kong added. She suggested the government to make an example and give more support to mothers at work. According to the Equal Opportunities Commission, under the Sex Discrimination Ordinance, equal pay for equal work is the legal right of employees. If a male employee and a female employee are doing the same or similar work for the same employer, but are not receiving the same pay, that constitutes gender discrimination. Jeremy Zhu, Cable News.
U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan embarked on his visit to China with a meeting with Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi at a resort on the northern outskirts of Beijing. Wang described China-U.S. ties as critical, with a bearing on the world, and which have taken twists and turns. But the key is to keep to the overall direction of mutual respect, peaceful coexistence, and win-win cooperation.
我希望我们这次沟通一如既往，仍然是战略性，也是实质性的。当然，同时也应该富有建设性，努力推动中美关系朝着旧金山愿景真正实现稳定、健康和可持续的发展。
Sullivan reiterated that both countries were working to ensure that the competition did not veer into conflict and would find ways to work together where interests aligned.
Where we'll delve into a wide range of issues, including issues on which we agree and those issues on where there are still differences that we need to manage effectively and substantively.
The duo held closed-door meeting of the new round of China-US strategic communication and will meet again tomorrow. Sullivan's 3-day visit to China is the first by a White House National Security Advisor in 8 years, which could lay the groundwork for a possible final summit with Chinese leader Xi Jinping before U.S. President Joe Biden steps down in January. Anna Chen, Cable News.
We will be introducing a 100% tariff on Chinese-made electric vehicles and a 25% tariff on Chinese steel and aluminum.
Following the lead of the United States and European Union, Canada announced new tariffs on the import of Chinese electric vehicles, steel and aluminum starting from October. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said Ottawa was acting to counter what he called China's intentional state-directed policy of overcapacity, adding that China is not playing by the same rules.
But actors like China have chosen to give themselves an unfair advantage in the global marketplace, compromising the security of our critical industries and displacing dedicated Canadian autos and metal workers.
He also hinted that his government is looking at further punitive measures, such as tariffs on computer chips and solar cells. The announcement came after U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan's meeting with Trudeau. Sullivan made it clear that the U.S. was not trying to dictate, but to stay on the same page with Canada.
Canada will make its own determinations, but the U.S. does believe that a united front, a coordinated approach on these issues benefits all of us.
China's Commerce Ministry responded that Canada's move will disrupt the stability of global industrial and supply chains and seriously undermine the global economic system. The spokesperson said Canada flagrantly violates WTO rules, blindly follows individual countries. The action also seriously impacts China-Canada economic and trade relations. China is Canada's second-largest trading partner, although the bilateral trade amount remained far behind that of the U.S. Anna Chen, Cable News. Industrial profits in the mainland grew faster in July, buoyed by high-tech manufacturing, even as sluggish domestic demand weighed on the recovery in the world's second-largest economy. Profits in July jumped 4.1% from a year earlier, following a 3.6% rise in June, National Bureau of Statistics data showed. For the January to July period, profits expanded slightly faster at 3.6% compared with a 3.5% in the first half, offering some hope of improving momentum amid dreary factory output, export, prices and banking lending numbers earlier in August. The high-tech manufacturing sector, including the making of lithium-ion batteries and semiconductors and related equipment, led the earnings growth with a 12.8% rise in the January to July period, the data showed. Still, domestic consumption demand remains weak, while the external environment is complex and volatile, said NBS analyst Wei Ning, suggesting more efforts were needed to boost domestic demand.